Good afternoon and welcome back to the Last Epoch dev stream. I'm your host Mike, and let's hop right in. How's it going, everybody? I hope everyone had a good week and is ready for the weekend. I know I am. We are going to continue leveling up our druid here, living the werebear dream. Hopefully, I can. I hope I can take out like the whole campaign without having to go back. Just a little point of personal pride, I guess. Doing a kind of SSF gets a little tricky later. But how's it going, everybody? If this is your first time here, I am one of the senior developers on Last Epoch for 11th Hour Games, and this is Last Epoch, and we're going to be answering some questions and playing some games. So if you have any questions, toss an at Last Epoch game in the chat, and I'll be getting to it as quick as I can. Looks like we've got a couple to start off, which is great. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Glad to have you with us. Would like to know if I could use the time portal effect as a transition stinger. Sorry. I don't understand. Right off the bat. Would like to know if I could use the time portal. Hello. If I could use the time portal effect as a transition. Like using the portal, like the time travel effect in some other media. I see what you're saying. I think that's what you mean. I think if you're, honestly, I don't know. I am not familiar with all the rules around that sort of stuff. If you're making content about Last Epoch, I think it would be more reasonable, but the best thing to do is to contact support, and they will have a way better idea as to what the rules are and what you can use. Yeah. Alright, can we get auto picking up of crafting mats as a quality of life? Also, when's multiplayer? Multiplayer when it's ready. We've talked about the auto picking up of materials so many times. It's not impossible. It's very unlikely. It's something we talk about every once in a while. We keep going back to the same distinction. Since we already have the vacuuming effect, where you get like multiples all at once, it's unlikely that we would go full just auto looting on them, but it's not impossible. I just want to stress that it's not something we're planning currently. Thank you very much. We've got that guy Zergen has subbed with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much. Welcome. Alt Judge, I should mention as well that all subs, donations, cheers, audio cue, soundbite, play things, everything, all the money goes to charity, and the charity is right above my head. We've had this one. Usually we do every month. This one's been 2 months just because it was a little light on the streaming time over Christmas and the holidays and everything. So we decided just to keep it for an extra month. Also, thank you very much to Lone Star McFluffin, who is coming with a raiding party and a resub for 9 months in a row. That is a beefy resub count. Thank you very much, sir. Nine's got to be up there. That's got to be one of the top few. I don't actually know what the top ones are, but like, that's got to be right up there, which is very cool. Very cool. Oh, and my phone thinks I'm talking to it. Yes, phone, that is very cool. Daryl, 9 months. Here we go. There's another one. Been with us a long time. Glad to see you back. Thank you very much. And Erwin with 2 months. There we go. You had a lot of things last month. You gifted a bunch of subs, didn't you? Last week, sorry. Saw your name pop up a bunch. All right, we got some more questions in here. There was a Reddit thread about the whole auto picking up thing that I saw yesterday, or maybe it was this morning. I don't know, blurs together, I guess. But I did make an interesting observation in that thread to myself, and I mentioned it as well. Was that I can name all of the. Oh, I shouldn't say this on stream to make me do it. I think I can name every single like rune, jewel type, gem type, all of the things that are kind of similar to that from Diablo 2, but I can't name all the affixes in Epoch, partially just because the sheer quantity of them. It makes it a little easier to have them be individual pickup things when they're when they aren't, there isn't so many of them, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna need some poison res here. That's what we're gonna work on today. We're gonna work on getting our poison res up, because 5%. That's at 50% per second. I'm like, nope, 5% is not enough for this section of the game. Wanted to get those questions out of the way early. Good man. Alright. I want you to release multiplayer right this moment. What could go wrong? Yeah, I mean, really, what could go wrong? Can you name all the runes and jewels in Diablo 2? Okay, so there are chipped, flawed, regular, flawless, perfect of all of ruby, sapphire, diamond, emerald, skull. Oh crap, I'm missing one of them. There's the rainbow facets for poison, fire, lightning, cold. There's just magic and rare jewels. Emerald. I don't know if I missed one. Eld, Nef, Tyr, If, Eth, Tal, Ral, Ort, Thul, Am, Soul, Shiel. I know this is not quite perfectly in order. Shiel, Hell, Io. Oh, I missed Nef. Co. I don't know if I said. I'm just losing track of the ones that I said or not. Foul, Pull, Lem, Mal, Ist. I'm trying to get the mid ones. Lum. I didn't say Lum, I don't think. Lum, Lem. Mal, Ist, Pull, Foul, Lem. I think I went back the wrong way. I'm just going through rune words now. Full INF. And then there's all the high runes too. Zod, Cham, Burja, Sir, Vex, Gull, Low, Topaz. Did I miss Topaz? Oh my god. Raltier, Tal Soul, Lion F, Jathbur, Burmalburist, Coco Mal, Fallon Pull. I don't know. I probably missed a couple. My point is that it's a lot easier to name those than this list here. You know?
Yes. Take care.
Missing number 14. Oh dang it! Someone was actually paying attention. Anyways, any reason XP is still tracked at level 100, even though it carries over? Why the bar tracks? It's kind of a bug. Why it tracks at all, so that you can still level up all of your, skills after you've hit 100. Yeah. What did I miss? What was the one I missed? Dole. Ugh. Yeah. It's close. I thought I could do it. Little disappointed in myself, but whatever. Close. As a percentage, I probably got closer than I could do for our materials. We've got a nice resub, random name X, 7 months in a row. Subbing for impressive rune list, thank you. Didn't get dull because I never making rune words with it. Except the Chains of Honor, isn't that dull? I don't know. Dolumberist? It's that. Why Skeletal Mage Sacrifice doesn't scale with your abilities if you spec into it. I think it's the only one that doesn't. Yeah, anytime that a minion is casting an ability, it doesn't use your casting for it. So there's, like, each actor. Actors are basically anything with a health bar. Yeah, each actor has the ability to cast abilities or to create ability objects, and if an actor creates an ability object, they that ability scales from their own stats and their own modifiers. So when your skeleton mage sacrifices something, it uses its own modifiers and its own mutator for sacrifice, not your own. Now, really, the problem is we should just, and this is something we've been meaning to do forever, and we just keep missing it. We just need to change the name of that node to not say sacrifice, just call it like exploit or subjugate or, something like that. That kind of has a similar theme, but instead of having the same name, it just has the same functionality. And really, we can call it something different and actually have it be the same skill. Because we do get this question a fair bit. What if there's any poison res in my passive tree that I can pick up? Poison. Damage. What res? None. Unfortunate. I'll probably do this. Just because we got lots of dots we're rolling with. Can't remember where I was going with this. I don't remember. Roar after Rampage is really nice. I might just do that. Did you know you can spend skill points and skill trees passive nodes in this game? Yes? So, wait, points and skill trees. And yes. Am I really far down? No. Oh, it was just they were just sitting there. So. Okay, here we go, Mike. Get your hand on the keyboard in the right spot. Do you have any plans to optimize for Valve Steam Deck hardware? Not specifically. We've definitely been looking at the Steam Deck, and it's sweet. I know we'd love to be able to get into there and get it all set up. Part of the problem is we don't have full proper controller support yet, which is kind of a prerequisite. Ooh. Of getting that really set up. Can I just sustain through this? Looks like it. Looks like it. Master Sword 1291, 9 months in a row. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Glad to have you with us. Been here from the beginning as well. Feels good, bud. You've been rescued by a giant bear. Don't worry. Oh, you're not scared? Okay. It's odd for you not to be worried about being approached by a gigantic bear person. But you know, either way. Do you have any plans to highlight or indicate which quest timeline we have completed in the dual timeline Monoliths? I assume this is in reference to the when you finish a timeline and you're finishing for the second time, you've already picked one direction, and the only one that's worthwhile taking is the other path, but you can still pick either one, and it's a waste of a go through, and you have to just do it again. Yeah, I think the whole thing just needs to be tightened up so that it just automatically does it the second time instead of giving you even the option. Or is really clear, but it would probably be easier to just not give the option, honestly. Always present for the bees. Oh yeah, hey! This is Kane's first time on stream with us. Everybody say hello. Hello! Yeah, we are really gonna get some poison res in our gear here. I'm not sure when I'm gonna do that, but hopefully soon. We're just gonna load up something with a bunch of poison res. Maybe we can just like focus on some idols. Got some idle slots open. Yeah, I got some room. Could swap one of these out. Just, yeah, let's find a ring, everybody, that we can use, huh? How does that sound? Let's find a ring. Let's find a ring with some poison res on it. Add a rule. Find me a item type. Accessories ring with affix. poison resistance on it. And it's doing weird stuff. Because I'm going too fast and not paying attention to what I'm doing properly. Add, we're going to just show, we want it to recolor. And we're going to make it red just like all the other ones. That one's slightly different, isn't it? Make them all just red. Big ol' red. Just any ring with it. Alright. Does the end of time NPC sell at-home COVID tests? They were lucky enough to be untouched by the plague. How do the devs plan to generally balance overpowered builds going to 1.0 launch? Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty broad topic we've covered a few times, but the rough gist of it is, usually when something becomes really overpowered, a lot of people start to play it and enjoy it. And if we just say like, okay, something became overpowered, okay, next time it's not going to be overpowered, and we're just going to make sure that it's really weak or just like nerfed into the ground or whatever, it causes this I guess negative feedback loop for oh, I can't play a good build, or I can't make a good build popular because it'll just get nerfed or whatever. And I think there's an important distinction between nerfed and unplayable. And I think sometimes that distinction is blurred for effect, I want to say. And quite often, even when something is nerfed, it's still completely viable and playable. And usually what we try and do is bring down, if there's, we try and be really careful and target specific portions of it, such that it affects the specific combination that's out of control, to avoid as much collateral damage as possible, to bring it in line with other powerful builds, but not worse than other powerful builds, and to not ruin the game flow that the build has. So say there was a build where I don't know, every time I shouted and hit two things, it reset my cooldown on the jump or whatever. So on maul. So I suddenly am mauling like every other second. Like I'm just like maul shout, maul shout, maul shout, maul shout. And the whole thing is like brah jump, and it looks funny and silly and like just becomes a joke basically. Someone's gonna tell me that's a real thing now. Sometimes we have to take down the spamminess of certain things so that it doesn't create too much visual noise. I guess I could just be running through here. And sometimes it's a matter of just raw power. And those are very different cases, and we have to make sure we address them individually, like differently. So we look at every case individually. But I think the really important part is that the goal is to... Should let her talk.
At any cost.
Any cost, really? Whoa. Pump the brakes here. Listen, oh yeah, it's just... we try not to take a build that people have been enjoying and throw it out the window, but rather bring it in line with the other ones that are already also powerful. If it's something that is significantly above the rest.
No one is to live could be dead. The temple is closed. No one is could be. The temple is closed.
But I want in.
Yes.
I don't want to see you here again.
Farewell.
Thanks, buddy.
I overheard your... What?
Yeah, let's go.
Absolutely. I've got to drop by the temple for a little errand. Fancy a little now, as I... Like all. Bring me his head, of course. I'll
Oh.
be around here when the job's done.
Yeah, no problem. A head. I can do that. Hey, are there any plans of buffing Ignite? Or are you planning to turn down stuff like Snowdrift to bring Frostbite in line with Ignite? I don't want to get into specific details of exactly how we're going to rebalance things. It might be one, it might be the other, it might be a combination of both. We have to look at the big picture as a whole, really. So we need to look and see, is Ignite underpowered or is Frost overpowered? Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe neither. Maybe it's a specific combination. Maybe there's a certain node in a specific combination that we have to address, because when taking certain things in combination, it makes it overpowered. But the base ailment itself is not a problem. Maybe it is. You know. But definitely would be making decisions like that in a group with a lot more. I'm just gonna drop that on the ground. A lot more information around us, like than just what's off the top of my head. And we don't have a set plan for it yet, so I can't just cite a pre-made decision. How are you guys handling the shortage of chips for servers during the pandemic to prep for multiplayer? Yeah, it's I can't really. I'm sorry. I'd love to be able to go into details about this. Some things, the prices of some certain hardware has definitely changed based on supply and demand, as it does. Supply is a lot lower for a lot of things than it normally is. It hasn't really hit us too hard yet, especially because of we don't have 1,000 servers running right now because there's not, everyone's not in yet. But yeah, it's not going to prevent us from launching multiplayer unless something changes. Got some points here. Like, there's some weird poison res thing that is in this tree that I forget. The healing might be nice. I think there was something I was planning on doing in here that I got to. Yeah, I need the 6 stacks though. Or just take. Yeah. Sure. Get those berserk stacks up. Could you maybe add a feature to the loot filter so that you can not only search for tiers on items but also specific values? Very unlikely. If we did something like that, which we're probably not going to do, it would likely be more of a roll range than specific values. So it would just be like at roll range greater than or equal to 75% or something. I don't know. So I was gonna say 7%, then I'm like, that's dumb. And then try to switch to 70, and like 75 is much more round. Part of the reason is the goal of the loot filter for us is not to bring gear to a point where you're picking up only what's unfiltered and everything that's unfiltered, but rather that the loot filter is a tool to reduce the total number of things you're looking at to a manageable point where you can evaluate the gear yourself. So it's still important to be able to have some gear show that you're not going to pick up. Nah. I was looking at those two swords last time. I could probably slap this in somewhere, couldn't I? Why not? Is there poisoners on this? No. I lost my wolfies, didn't I? I wasn't paying attention. No, Wolfie, no. Welcome back. Oh, there's some cool stuff happening over here. Daedalus, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. Congrats to anyone who got one of those. Big thank you for that. One day I'll make that notification not the default. One day. Today is not that day. Today we fight. Will the loot filter get a function to emphasize desired affixes? For example, plus skills, like the new runes do. Oh, you mean sort of like when they drop and there's like that beam that glows up and everything? We've talked about adding that to certain items in the loot filter having as an option. There needs to be some sort of detection for it to make to make it rare enough that you won't be naturally setting up. Or even accidentally setting up, like, all items have beams, you know? So some sort of like rarity detection for the filter rule to see if it's allowed or something. Not sure exactly what that would look like yet, but that's probably what it would be. Love that transition, smooth. There's a weirdly large number of things happening with that transition. Like the whole post-processing profile changes as you go through there. Thought those were someone else's wolves for a split second. What was the inspiration for the story of the game? I mean, so our lore master's been, developing the story, I think, for quite a while. I know a big point of inspiration, which should come as a surprise to very few people, would be Chrono Trigger, as there's some similarities there, like and a few nods. But really just in the general theming of like the main portion of that inspiration is just the general theming of the time travel and the different eras and having those like visiting the same worlds and the same places at different times, same world, same place, different time, and seeing the differences and affecting change across those timelines. What did it even say? Yeah. 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 Well, I want to go through there. Come on.
Very well.
Let me through. Huh? Huh? It is warm in here. Very warm in here. Alright. Oh, I skipped a question here. Sorry about that. What is the official position on the numlock trick? Do you guys plan on making it so it can't be used anymore? So it's really important to note that realistically, there's not much we can do to actually stop it from being possible to use a system like that. There's other equivalences that do the same thing that don't use numlocks. You don't need numlock on your keyboard to do the numlock trick. So it's, what am I doing here? It's not overly feasible to ban the numlock trick as a thing. We don't like the numlock trick from a gameplay perspective, and in order to fix that, or just not have it be a prevalent thing, is we can change the way skills work together, the way builds come together, that sort of stuff, such that it's not the most optimal way to play. And if we can make using numlock worse than not using numlock, or at least just kind of a meh, no difference, or minimal difference, or whatever, then it would effectively fix the problem, because people wouldn't be using it just because they didn't want to, not because we prevented them from being able to. I hope that answered your question. When you play storyline, I noticed there's a it's hard to see what chapter you're on. Is it something you can do to improve on? The easiest, I agree there's some trickiness to it, and maybe there's other places we can put it. This is the easiest way to tell. Whenever you hit escape, it's boom right there. Possibly having something like on the map here, or like a little, I don't know, maybe something in here needs to be to say what chapter you're on, but that's the easiest way to know. Is the Spriggan wearing a skirt or a kilt? There's a question you can answer to offend a lot of people real easily. The Sentinel is wearing an open bottom garment that is wrapped around the waist. Going automatically? Any thoughts on the current state of defenses at Endgame, with most players opting to use Bastion of Honor and Ravenous Void if they can? Yeah, those are really powerful items for sure. I personally would like to see more variety in the primary chase defensive items for sure. I think because they are like, well, good ones at least, and any of them in some case are so rare, but not really like guaranteed necessary to make a build work. If that makes any sense, it's not terrible, but I would like to see more variety. Like, they might be a little strong, but I don't think it's I don't think it's rework worthy, if that makes any sense. Like, I could see it having some slight number tweaks, but you know. Do you guys have any policies towards post-processing injectors like Reshade? I don't think we do. Finding myself running out of rage here. What's going on? I need more rage gen. I need to be angrier. Bruce, how do I be angrier? It works because both of them are angry and their name's Bruce. Banner and Wayne if it wasn't clear. All right. Yo, thanks to Stormblade. I love it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. If you want to know more about, the reshade, the post-processing injectors like reshade, if you want more info on that, best thing I can say is send a message to support, leave a question on the forums. We can try and get someone to look at it who is more more able to make a decision on that. We haven't really talked about it much, so I don't want to say yeah, they're fine, or no, you can't do that, or anything like that on stream without talking to anyone. My gut is that it would be of similar stature to a like a cursor. People use YOLO mouse, things like that. How much latency / lag do devs expect for players when launching online servers? How 1.0 gameplay compared to current beta gameplay? That's that's a quite a humongous open-ended question I can't really answer properly. As little as possible, as similar as possible. We do have a lot of things that we do to reduce the latency as much as possible to make it feel like it is like you are playing offline even when you're playing online. Sometimes those things are as little as having the client assume that what they're doing is going to work for a brief moment before they get confirmation that it is working, just to reduce lag a tiny bit. And I gotta say that, like, so far in the testing we've been doing, it's felt great to me. Like obviously there's times where there's bugs and things like that, but for the most part, using an ability feels very similar to using an ability offline. Alright, what do we got next? Would you consider nodes that turn a skill into a passive aura instead? Yeah. I see a lot of numlock used for buffing skills, not for hitting stuff. For example, enchant weapon turns off active use and gets 20% power boost. Yeah, there actually is a node on... I mean, that's what you're talking about, but enchant weapon has that node where it autocasts itself already. I think if we did that, there's sort of this weird line where we have to, if the node itself is not actually better, or at least equal to the numlock version. Actually, it has to be better, really, than the numlock version, because as soon as you... because it costs... There's a cost of a point, at least. There's a cost of 1 point, and so that point needs to make it better in order to actually have it be viable for like min-maxing a character, which is really what most of the time what we're talking about here with things like this. So if we make this node make the skill better, so that there's this the optimal way to play is to turn this active skill into a passive skill, suddenly there's one less skill. Even if you weren't going to do the numlock trick, you then still gravitate towards that, and then there's an extra ability that people aren't pressing. And we do we know that some people really want one button builds, and we try not to stand in the way of that being possible, but we do like to reward people that are being strategic in their gameplay and mindful with what buttons they're pressing and that sort of thing. So there's a bit of a give and take there that we need to be careful of on how much power we put into something like that, because if it's not worthwhile taking, you're just losing 5% of your points because you don't want to press numlock, you know? Really need to get some poison res up in here. Can't believe I haven't found a single ring with poison res on it yet. Might just need to grab a ring in the stash and make one. I do love that little animation.
Can I help you?
I mean, should we pay him or not? Do you plan to make it so skill effects of party members do not render multiplayer to reduce the load eye pain? We're still working on exactly how that's going to work. Right now they do show. Could you explain how in the story Immortal Emperor came to power and where did Raya go? Not everything's fully fleshed out yet of what's available, and I don't want to open things up too well, and I'm kind of stalling for the fact that I don't know the answer properly. Have you guys ever had any thoughts on how you're going to deal with poison's inherent shred in multiplayer? Yeah, it's really strong. It's really strong. Like, we were playing. We were playing with some guy, bunch of necros, and I was playing a rogue, and like, I didn't have a lot of dot damage, but just applying poisons was really useful because it shreds poison res for all the other poisons that are being applied that have a lot of dot damage. So we're still working on that. I don't know if there's going to be some sort of like cap on the shred, or just reducing the amount, or like there's a lot of different ways we can explore this. But right now it is really good. So something might need to be done on it. We'll see. On enchant weapon, not having the active parts works a trade-off versus making the passive better. It's also more consistent for those who prefer it. But don't worry, forums, I know. Yeah, yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to that very much, but the trade-off still has to end up being worth it to make the node worth it. Because if the trade-off's not worth it, and you can just numlock it, then it'll just be effectively the same thing but better. It's less consistent, you're right, which might be enough. So maybe. I think Holy Aura has something similar to that actually, where you can't activate it anymore. Not sure. Hey man, love the new crafting system. Quick question: will shards ever be stackable? Possibly. We do have some stackable tech coming. Right now, with the ability to, I'm just gonna pay him, because those of you that don't know, you have to pay him no matter what, and it'll just end up being more. We do have a shard stackable system. There's not shard stackable. We do have a stackable system that we could implement. It's possible. Maybe we're talking about stuff regarding, like, there's been a lot of questions recently about like picking up, and I mean I say recently, there's been a lot of questions forever about making the pickup and use of shards easier, and it's like it's come a long way from how hard it used to be, and I think part of the I shouldn't say problem really, maybe what's hard for us to look at ourselves is that some of us are coming from the standpoint of, well, it used to be a lot harder. And I don't know if that's really a valid argument. But it's hard to get away from when you remember how it used to be, because like originally every single one of them were individually picked up. There was no special inventory for them to go to. You had to manually place them all in your crafting window. It was about as bad as it could be. From a UX perspective, at least. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? I live in the part of the world where pineapple on pizza started. We love it. But I don't think I would force it on anyone. If you don't like it, why would you have it? It's like olives. Lots of people don't like olives on pizza. I think they're missing out. Straight to jail, Mike. We've been over this before. I have professed my love of pineapple. This is not the first time. I made some really good pineapple hot sauce, actually. He's good. Grilled the pineapple first. Got these Armageddon peppers. They're about halfway between a scorpion and a reaper. Blended them up, bunch of garlic. Now, anchovies is the real pizza ingredient. I love anchovies too. Salty. Come at me, bro. Come at me. Oh, what? I just transferred back. Oh, yeah, look at that Maelstrom stacks going. And I found an axe? Oh! I'm totally meaning to press these buttons. Oh, what's going on here? Am I forgetting something in here? Why is it? Get me my rage back, please. It's not terrible. It's not great. Probably not gonna bother with it. Have you made any multi-form druid builds work? There's a build that I was supposed to be doing right now, but I started leveling, so you can't really do it from the start. That is Swarmblade Bear, that I think works really well. Really like how the music in the game is consistent. For example, in PoE, it starts a new music track every time you interact with the mechanic, making game music unlistenable. Yeah, there's good and bad things about tying it to an event in game like that, because you can really like use it as a cue to describe what's going on, so people, without even really seeing what's happening, they can understand it. I do not pretend to be an audio engineer at all. So much poison!
What brings you here?
I will... I don't know, sell some random stuff, sure. Vipertail Stan. I do love the claw. The claw! Might not be actually worth it, though. The wolves aren't really doing much. Should probably switch that out and just do a bear instead. It'd be more thematic. Probably actually would do more. Do I not have the bear? I don't have the bear. Because I need to get 5 points into here, don't I? Should I grab the bear? Try the crows. What are they like on specs? Never done the crows unspec'd.
What brings you here? Farewell.
Yeah, we're gonna go get bear. They'll probably die less frequently just because they stand back a little bit. Where's some poison res though? Come on. I just need a ring with forging potential to just do something better than this. Alright, there's questions I'm missing. Any plans on making a first-person shooter game with bears? This is called The Right to Bear Arms. No, we don't have any. We're not making a first-person shooter game right now at all. I kind of like that idea though. Did Lagon just did Lagon for the first time? Congrats. It's not pet friendly. You're right. My Spriggan pets were just standing there doing nothing in the mid bug. Yeah, there's some finickiness still. It's getting better. It's a real weird area. Do you plan to introduce new types of belts? I mean, we're planning to introduce new types of everything all the time. When that'll happen, I don't know. But yeah, just eventually there'll be new belts, yeah. Any plans to add innate skill tree use in Spriggan and Swarmblade? Bear starting with 2 extra trees, being able to add more feels like it's allowed more playstyles, 1 and 2 synergies down a tree. Yeah, there's less that directly synergizes in the kits. And I know the obvious one is, well, Ice Thorns, Spirit Thorns. Ice Thorns actually was cut until like 2 weeks before the patch, 3 weeks before the patch. And then Armblade Slashes and Serpent Strike being inherent, they're just not kind of generic enough, and we felt that it kind of forced it a little too much. The Swipe and Shout just fits so perfectly. That's why they're there. It's possible. I have seen this feedback a fair bit. Confirmed bear FPS. Think you're a big man, jumping all over the place, all nimbly bimbly like a cat. I got a saucer for you to drink milk out of while I smack you down, buddy. He's so fast. Okay. You just gonna stand there? You just gonna take it? Good girl. Why do a lot of games not give the player the option to adjust the cursor's size or color? It seems like an easy quality of life option. Could Last Epoch consider this option? I think it's less about how difficult it is to do. It's really not on many people's radar. I think is why it's a really uncommon thing to have in a game. It's definitely possible to do. I could see us doing it, especially when you like. There's some resolutions that I know the cursor doesn't show up fantastic, and people have problems with it. It's. I mean, I think the fact that YOLO Mouse exists as a pretty popular program is evidence as to support your claim that not many games do this. It's not something that's been ultra high priority. It's also not unbelievably easy to do and have it still like look and feel good and all sorts of things. We did recently revamp the cursor. I say recently, it was probably a couple patches ago. But yeah. I'd say not impossible. Not out of the realm of possibility. It's I will say that it's not just like slapping in. Oh, is that a legendary potential? Oh, Alchemist Later, let's go! Woohoo! All right, why am I wasting my time? Where am I going? Jump back. Yeah, there we go. That's hot sauce dripping off the ladle. Spicy.
I never. After you're done with your business in the temple, I sure wouldn't mind having you around once the Scalebane are under new management. Plenty of jobs to do around here, and even more once I'm running the show.
Oh, it doesn't work right. Let's try this one. I need a ring that has.
I may despite. Or after that. Oh, come on. Where's that fighting spirit? It's going to work. It's not like you've got any other options.
Let's find a ring. With poison res somewhere. Where's the word? I don't want to pull uniques out of here. It's like where's a crappy ring with some poison res on it? There's a crappy ring with some poison res on it. It's not that crappy, but still. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna flip this over here for a second. We're gonna see what we can make out of either of these. I want poison res. And more poison res. Cool, and we're out of forging potential. Not ideal. This is hope, right? Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Wow. Let's go the most poison res, so that's going on. Could have gone better. Could have gone worse. Alright, are you planning to keep monoliths simple? Because, for example, juicing maps in PoE at the moment is extremely bloated, and preparation to open a map is very daunting. Yeah, there's a big difference in mapping and monoliths, and the big difference is the cost. So there is a cost, but there's no like item requirement to open a monolith. All there is an opportunity cost. But in Path of Exile, there's an actual physical item that's a cost. So there's an element of preparation whereby you actually lose something if you make a mistake. And there are really good and there's positive and negative things about those differences. So I'm not suggesting that there's a right way here at all. I just want to preface this answer with that sort of distinction. There is that difference. I think having more stuff to do in the monoliths would be a good thing. I don't think we're at quite a complexity level that is what people are going to expect long term. I don't think that there's going to be getting to the same level of complexity that Path of Exile has. Especially not anytime soon, just because they have so much content, so many years of adding new content. Like it's a lot of stuff that they've got there. I'd say we would like to have some more things, because there's lots of good reasons to. Thanks. Back up a little bit. One of the reasons I brought up the distinction between the two, where there's a tangible cost to entering a map, is that there's an incentive to get as much out of that map as possible. So there's this natural incentive to explore, and to try and find all the things that are available from the map that you've just purchased. You've bought something and you want to get your money's worth out of it. With the monoliths, you haven't bought anything. I say, like, using the term bought as a, like, you're inputting an item and you're gaining access to something. So you haven't bought anything with your opening a monolith. So there's not this burden to clear the whole thing, find all the stuff you can get from it. I think this is actually a really strong point in favor of the way this is, the way they have it for mapping. And one way that they make that experience more interesting for having ooh, there's a little poison res there, nice. Oh, but the helmet we've already got. Dang it, not gonna do it. Because they've got this incentive to explore already, it makes they need to have things to fill that space where while you're exploring, you're finding these things, like you're finding up like maps inside of maps and things like that, or there's like little side areas that you find, you go in there, clear it out, and come back to what you're doing. We don't really have things like that at the moment. So we are looking for ways to slightly incentivize killing more things in monoliths, taking a little bit more time, upping the complexity a little bit. And I say a little bit lightly. We're really not looking to make dramatic changes on it, but we do feel that there's ways to make the whole experience a little bit more enjoyable than a race to the finish with a small objective at the end and move on. If that makes any sense. We're 1 hour into the stream. You haven't reached the teaser segment of the stream yet. No, actually, no one said anything about it. I just completely forgot. Let's also get this flip back so I can show you stuff. You guys want to see stuff? I got some cool stuff I can show you. That? Oh, that's... just remove that. You don't need to see that. Didn't know I was going to make that noise. Here's something cool. Yeah. Another little, concept sheet. Stuff! Hey, look, stuff! Getting better at which direction things are on my screen. Feels weird, because, like, so I point this way for, like, the center of the screen. Like, this way is the center of the screen. But that's me pointing, like, away from the center of the screen in real life. Feels weird. Still getting used to it. There's cool stuff happening on screen. I should probably take away the stuff covering it. Little teaser. I got some more stuff too. I brought stuff today. That's right. I brought stuff. Okay, if I find a unique, I will show the next one. Any thoughts on making echo modifiers more specific or random, like specific damage schools or resistances? Right now it feels very plus X% damage and plus Y% health in the vast majority of them. Also, why do you not group poison, necro, and void into decay or similar? Interestingly enough, these three together, vitality used to give resistance to these three here. And there used to be a, we used to have some term for all three of these together. It was confusing, it didn't really work out great, so we got rid of it. Decay doesn't really work because there's, like, hit damage from all three of them. Oh, nice. That's a sweet belt. What do I ask for? Poison resistance in my transform build? I mean, that's really nice. I don't think it's better though. Let's go Legacy Quiet Forest. That's great. There we go. And once again, this is a 3D render, not 2D art. Streamer RNG. Yeah. That's funny. That's good. Makes sense. Okay, if I drop another unique, I got another one I'll show you too. Okay. Let's keep the ball rolling. What's your stance on sockets, gems, runes, jewels? Oh, get that. What's your stance on sockets, gems, runes, jewels, strength, Diablo-like? Any chance you might see those things in LE? Yeah, so this is an interesting topic. And let's just think about those things in Diablo 2 for a second. So you have items that have, some of them have slots where you can add in a property to that based on an item that you have in your inventory. So you can combine a piece of equipment and another item. You can apply that property from the item to the equipment, right? And it might seem kind of familiar if you look at it from just that perspective. You have some item, some piece of equipment, and you can add an item from your inventory to it. what I'm getting at is that our crafting system is basically just a socketable system, and it's really hard to add a socketable system to it. Now, it's not impossible, and there's ways we can do that still, but it does, with the similarities, provide some trickiness with how it's presented. And that's the main reason why we haven't done that. Now, I absolutely love the socketing system in Diablo 2. I personally, I think one of the places where I thought by saying I'll wait until like another unique drops, I'd spread this out a bit, you know? Alright, here we go. Streamer client, I will show you that I'm playing off the live build on Steam if you want. Actually, I'm not going to show you my Steam, but... Here. There you go. No beta builds running. That's funny. Yes, once again, 3D render, not a 2D art, just to be clear. Okay, if another unique drops, then I got another one, okay? Remember what I was saying? Sockets and stuff? It's really cool, I love sockets. So one of the best things that the socketable system in Diablo 2 does is it allows you to have high rarity items drop independent of each other to be able to be formed together in different ways to make different items. So we do try and do this a little bit with our like these high rarity crafting materials. We try and get a little bit of that feeling from those, but the problem is it's not like it's less of a distinct item there. And the other way we try and have that same feeling is with the legendary system. That was a big part of the legendary system, is kind of mimicking the feel and the acquisition feeling of runewords in Diablo 2 a little bit, in the sense where you're dropping like a unique with big legendary potential, and you're dropping an exalted with the mods you need. You're dropping one first, and then you're like, okay, I've got one half, and I'm looking for the other half. And that progressive like drop and combination system is, I think, the strongest part of that of that socketable system in Diablo 2. And so we're trying to pull that in a little bit with
Good day, Trevor.
yeah, let's go.
Farewell.
Yeah, but it's hard to do when the like literal direct version of it is so similar to our crafting system already, and also we don't just like to copy things, build our own systems that are unique and interesting and fun that work with our game. Like, I don't think you could take our crafting system and slap it into Diablo 2. I don't think it would work well. And also there is some, like, it's not actually a socketable system that we have. We also do kind of want to leave some room in the future for more mechanics that we can work into our item system, and socketables is a pretty obvious way we could do that down the road. So I think there's a good chance that we don't include socketables on items at launch, and look to explore that space later. But really, I don't have any definitive answers on exactly what we're going to do or how we're going to do that, because we have ideas, but not detailed roadmap of exactly every single feature that's going to be added between now and whenever, because stuff changes. How all of you play the game and give us feedback for the game changes how we make it. And we can't predict how that is, so it's not worth our time to try. That poison res. Oh, so good! To the moon. Okay. I really like the tornado enemies and the big bugs that pull and push you around. I think it's a very cool mechanic. Awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's great to hear. Thank you. Do we get a new rogue model next patch? This is the only one left. Maybe? I don't think so. Maybe already. Hers doesn't need anywhere near as much tweaking, I don't think, as the other ones. Because she was the newest. But it's possible. Quiet Spell interrupted your earlier answer regarding echo modifiers. Did it? I am sorry. Don't remember what I was saying. I'm sorry. We've got Revelasti has subbed with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. World Vision appreciates it, I guess. You know. But thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. What was the thing about echo modifiers and before quiet spells? Differences between PoE, maps having a cost, putting more stuff in it. I think I answered it all. I don't think I had much else to say. I want some chase runes that allow me to change the base type of an item. Yeah, that's so. There's this notion of multiplicative crafting and additive crafting for the rarity of things, and it's really hard to do additive crafting on things. And this is exactly what rune words are. Really, is it's an additive rarity thing. Because you're dropping them independent of each other, and you're adding them together to make one item. And adding additive rarity systems to an existing system that is built around not having those and balanced around not having those already is very difficult and touchy. Because you can trivialize things that were really difficult to get before. You can make it really easy to get them all of a sudden. And then you kind of have two options. One, reduce the power of the item to increase the rarity of that item, or just remove it altogether. Or reduce the base, nerf the item itself, or nerf the case without the item. So sometimes if you add an item, say you add something to the system that makes it on average take half as long to get with that item existing, the base version without that item, in order to make the fastest way you could possibly get it, what you can do is you can take the base version without that extra item and double it, so it then becomes everyone who doesn't find that item suddenly it sucks for. Or there's just a way to make it trivialized at the same time. So it's a difficult balancing act to do, and one of the factors that makes dropping an item really good, whether an item drops really good or not, is the base type that it starts with. So having a rune that lets you change that, especially if it was deterministically, would be really difficult to balance around. It's not impossible to do, but I guess that's a brief glimpse into why we haven't done that yet, because we definitely did look at that as an option already. Any plans to update Bleed Ignite? Seems like other elements have a niche or a way to differentiate them from one another, but these two feel aggressively generic at the moment. Nothing immediate now. There are some neat mechanics and interactions between like bleed and poison. There's some things like there's like spreading ignite that happens. So there's some mechanics in there. They might not be as fleshed out as they should be, but I don't have any like core things that we're planning on doing it. Keeping some mechanics relatively simple, there's real power in that, because it means that figuring out how they work when they're introduced into a complex system is easier. It makes it easier for new players to understand, makes them more intuitive. So having some mechanics be simple, there's an advantage in that for the overall game feel. Is story mode going to be forced to level alts once you completed it once already? Yes and no, kinda, sorta. We do plan to leave the story in as part of the primary new character experience, regardless if it's a first character or not. You may have noticed that in the most recent patch there was a dungeon that was added, which you can use to skip a later portion of the campaign. This is a mechanic we do intend to continue to use and expand upon. We're very happy with how it worked out initially. The first one was a bit of an experiment, and we are expanding it, so there will be more dungeons coming that will have skips associated with them, so you can not do the entirety of the campaign on every single subsequent character, so specifically for alts. At the start of a new league, season, cycle, whatever you want to call it, there will be... Your first character will still have to do the full campaign because you won't have access to those dungeons yet, as the access to those dungeons is through keys that drop after those dungeons have started. So you would need to like get past them and then go back to skip them, which makes no sense. Anyways, yeah. So a big part of it as well is the goal is to get to enough dungeons whereby you say you've got follow-up characters and there's still these passive and idle slot rewards from completing quests along the way as you go, and you want to you'll end up picking which skips you do, which passives and idle side quests you do, and you can tailor your leveling experience through the campaign based on which parts of it you want to do. So there'll be some people that will do completely different playthroughs than you based on which parts of the campaign each of you skip. And I hope that later on it becomes like, oh, you're leveling a druid, you know, this dungeon's really easy for druids to do, but this other dungeon's really terrible for druids to do. So you should skip this one, but you should play through the campaign around this one, because there's also an idle and passive point reward that you get by going not through this dungeon and things like that. And I think that'll create a more dynamic campaign just naturally from the fact that you're not doing the same content every single time. One of the points you made on the... Oh, I'm trying not to die here. One of the points you made on the superiority of Monolith systems versus the map systems. I was really not trying to go superiority, sorry. I want to make that clear. I was trying to list differences. And that I don't think one's better than the other, really. It's like, I don't think you could take our Monolith system and put it into PoE, and I don't think you could put PoE's map system and put it into this. It's that same thing again, where it like the other systems support them as well, so there's differences. Sorry. Versus the map system PoE is lack of itemization that people had to collect and use just to access it. How are you going to apply this ideas to keys? So, how are we going to apply this to keys? We may or may not apply this to keys, but it's possible. Yes, you're right that there is a lot of similarity between keys and maps for dungeons, because there is that cost. The big upside to applying it is that, yes, you have this like item that you can prepare and it can customize the experience. Big downside is suddenly they can never stack. As I'm sure people that play a lot of PoE know, not being able to stack your maps is and organizing your maps can be a little frustrating sometimes. It's been a while since I've done a lot of it, but yes, there's that. And it's not to say it's, once again, it's not saying it's bad or worse or wrong or anything like that. It's just that's one of the reasons why we didn't do that initially. And I know our keys don't stack either. It's something we've One of the reasons we didn't put modifiers on the keys themselves was to make it so they were possible to stack them. Now, it's part of the reason why you see in the system that there is this, you know, when you're going through the dungeon and you're picking the doors, you're picking the buffs, basically they're map mods, to the dungeon as you're going. That system is a direct response to not adding map mods or key mods to the keys themselves, so that they could still be stackable or placed in some sort of key ring or something like that down the road. Now the dungeon system is still really new, and whenever we release a large new system like this, we kind of expect there's going to be changes. So sometimes we hedge our bets a little bit on implementing certain things in order to be able to allow, in order to be able to allow changes in the future. And that is the world's fastest ban from our Discord.
Not well. She don't look at me like. Trust me. Had I known they were going to go insane and start a war against everyone, I would have found my money elsewhere. But alas, I had no clue they'd turn out this way. Let's go thin their numbers a bit, shall we?
I love Zarek. I think he's my favorite character in the story so far. That or the lazy guy at the start when you land and he's just like, do everything for it, Ulrich. Just do everything for me. I'm so tired. I did everything. You did nothing. Love that guy. He's great. Alright. Alright. Did I miss anything? Looks like I did. What are your thoughts on content bloat, and how would you prevent it in Last Epoch? That's a great question. There's a lot of little things. We've started to build in. So one of the reasons content bloat can happen is because the like just adding new content. It's obviously why it's there. The question usually stems from looking at Path of Exile and how they've added so much. Like, they've added a ton of new stuff for people to do over the years, and it's amazing. And the reason that a question like this comes up often is because there's so much stuff to do that getting into it's tough because you don't know, you weren't introduced at one at a time. When you've been playing it through the whole time with PoE and you get introduced to these mechanics one at a time and they become second nature and you become accustomed to them and then they just stick around as part of the game, you're not learning each one of these mechanics when you start up. You're learning one mechanic at a time, and it makes it a lot easier to bring a new mechanic into your understanding of the game's systems because you're only learning one new mechanic. There's lots of different ways you can combat problems like this. One way that Path of Exile employed for quite a while was you don't always bring the mechanics into standard. Sometimes, or even just the next league, it is like the base game with this one mechanic, or maybe it's the base game with one of these, or like 3 of these 8 mechanics, or something like that. Like, you know, it's not just here's all the mechanics that we've ever done, and that's something that they did for a while. And still do have like small leagues that do things like that for sure. Another way you can do it is by modifying existing mechanics. So sometimes it can be something as simple as, and they've done this too. Like I'm not doing anything brand new here, really. Where they like shook up the map, they changed the orders of things, added new ones, removed old ones. We can do things like that too with even just like the Monolith. We've talked about how the system is built to be modular, where we can take an island out, add a new island in, shuffle the islands around, move them, change things. Then also just like expanding on existing mechanics. Maybe it's like adding a new type of monolith that can go, or a new type of echo that can be in the monoliths. Maybe it's like there's lots of little things we can do here and there. To expand the content without adding new mechanics to learn. And sometimes that means pulling things out, which is a really tough decision to make. Might not always be feasible. there's a lot of different things that have to be taken into account when removing content from the game. Like, do you still have a place where it exists? Do you only remove it from the latest version? Yeah, just shred right through and just rah rah rah.
Well, hey, plummeting thousands of feet may be a good time for you, but I prefer to have my own 2 feet on the ground.
Ah, you would. Wuss.
To fall off. All we got to do is steer Talon towards the temple, and she should take care of the rest for us.
I love this part. Love it. Alright.
We're well on our way. Hold on.
More random mods with specific schools like void enemies,
It
but
looks
plus
like the
X.
Oxfix went the fun of us borrowing their bird. Get ready for a fight.
More random mods with specific schools like void enemies, but plus X res, or all enemies have X ailment chance, etc. Just damage mods, not overall damage scalar, but make picking nodes more interesting when want that reward. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. There's honestly, I don't remember all the details of why certain mods weren't added or included.
Got to keep steering.
No, that's too bad.
Talon will land. We're hit.
Oh no! We definitely want to add more interesting ones there. We need to be careful about ones that are completely trivial for many builds. And I know the answer to this one is, well, what about dodge for dots and crit comparisons? Having ways to trivialize them by changing your gear before going into them is not ideal either. Say there's one that's just like this node, all enemies have 5,000% increased void damage, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna put all this gear on that prevents me from taking a bunch of void damage. Then the next one's like 5,000% more fire damage, and then you have a different set you have to put on for that one. And it's switching your gear in between echoes that we really want to avoid as well. So we've seen that as a problem. And I want to clarify that as well. Switching your gear between echoes is not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually really good because it means you're upgrading and making things better for yourself overall. But having it be that like you can only push in-game content when you have multiple sets of gears for specific types of echoes, it's a little iffy. Alright, I'm sure it's been asked, answer before, any chance of having magic find suffix on item? No, we will not add magic find suffix to item or prefix. Magic find will not be competing with power on your gear or character customization. We want to keep them separate specifically so that you don't need to make the decision, do I want to find better items or do I want to deal more damage? Do I want to survive better? It's just, is my character better in some way, not am I finding better items or making my character better. You'll notice that the Monolith rewards that give you increased magic find for specific things only compete with other things that increase your magic find for specific things in a similar category. This is done very intentionally, so you're only picking which type of base type you want to find more of. So do I want to find more chest or more helm? You're not picking do I want to find more chest or deal more physical damage. Alright, one of the points you made on... Oh, I already answered that. Can you speak to alt friendliness to further extent, shared progress, the fact that adding affixes to legendary potential uniques increases their level dramatically, etc. It seems as though you have been pretty specific stance on alts. Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to encourage people to play alts. I know that might not seem obvious based on how the game mechanics go. There's a bit of a story that goes into making a new character, and we kind of want to emphasize that feeling of character building as you're making a new character and having that character be significant and not just a different set of stats from your last character, if that makes any sense. So part of that is the story and the journey that they go on as a character themselves, and not just, okay, they're max level, just pump the gear on them, change their stats, go, you're good. If that was the case, you might as well just have one character and be able to respect them completely, and I hid my UI completely, and I don't remember the hotkey to get it back. I just ran my finger across the keyboard somehow. I don't remember the hotkey at all. Alright, we're playing without a UI! Would you rather FOMO content for league cycles? Example, the content is only available during the cycle season content and removed after, so you don't have a PoE problem scaling content bloat too fast. I don't know exactly how... that's a really tough question to answer, and it's something that we're definitely not settled on yet. I can give you a personal feeling of it, but I want to be clear that this answer is my personal feelings and not 11th Hour Games feelings. Personally, I don't even know how I feel about it exactly. I think that I'd prefer content to not disappear completely and have there be a way to still access it. I'm not a huge fan of the ability to miss out on it. And like I'm going to contradict myself exactly here because there is a lot of fun in having time-based events that are specific to something. So, for example, like a winter event or a come on, Bear's got to be off cooldown soon. There it is. Like having a winter event or something like that, or a Halloween event or something like that, and I think those are really cool, especially as temporary things. But having content, and I think the difference there possibly is that they're those are annual events, so you're like, okay, I missed it, I'll come back next year type thing. And they're also generally not primary content. They're generally less. Yeah, they're usually more like secondary fun things to do. So I think there's a difference there. It's really tough to answer that question. I don't even know what I think about it personally myself. Like as I'm talking, I'm like realizing new things, and I don't know how I feel about it. I think there's advantages to having keeping the game new player accessible is something that's important to us as well, and I think that's one of the largest downsides to new and returning players. So like even people that like if I went back to PoE right now, I'd probably have a tough time figuring out all the things to do because I missed quite a few leagues in a row for a while. I'm trying to turn my map on, I can't see it. Is it down here? No. Man, this is hard mode. It's probably like 2 buttons together. Anyways, yeah. Hope that helped a little bit. Delete. Thank you. It's been a long time since I've turned off the UI. Oh, that's interesting. The map doesn't populate when you have the UI off. Health bars also weren't working either, which I thought was interesting. Alright, there's a question, you don't have to yell at me. Sorry. Why doesn't toggle the tooltips on the ground items hide gold? Choice or oversight? I think probably oversight. They're done through a different system. It probably also doesn't hide potions. Is there anything else it doesn't hide? Probably just potions. I caught up to questions, guys. I did it. Oh, there's another one. Gold pickup is laggy AF. Any ideas? Will this be fixed soon? We actually just changed a bunch of gold pickup stuff. I thought that made it into the patch already. It's brutal. I have not noticed it. That's interesting. Yep, no potions hidden yet, but I can live with that when I'm doing actual combat, yeah. I should probably hide gold too, if you're hiding items. Part of the reason is likely because it's, like there's no cost to pick them up, but I understand that it's part of the, like the reason to hide them is partially because you don't want to see them in combat to keep things easier to understand and parse quickly. And they don't help with that. Yeah, let that berserk go. Look at that berserk go. Want to get another, I want to get another gold shrine to see this. Alright, we went the wrong way. I blame the map being off, even though it happened after we turned it back on. Shh. MTX higher or lower than PoE MTX costs? I mean, I'm sure some will be higher than some and some will be lower than some. And we're going to try and keep things like respectful and appropriate as much as we can. I know those words don't really mean much without a frame of reference, which is, I totally get why you're using Path of Exile as an example. I can't give you a specific, like, more or less in general, in the general case, because we haven't really decided on the cost of each one of them yet. I will say that there are some distinctions that we are aware about. People have already paid for the base game product with us, and they've could be playing completely for free with Path of Exile to start with. So there's a bit of a distinction there that we need to be aware of and respect. That's like part of the main reason why we don't charge real money for things like stash tabs, because you're already buying the game with us. Yeah. But why I think it's much more appropriate that they charge for stash tabs than us, because it is a free-to-play game. The problem with gold is that the tooltips overlay enemies, so halfway in an arena echo my caster, I'm basically blind. Yeah. I get that. Toss it up to bug report in the forums. I got to say it, guys. I got to say it. Yay! Are the $1,000 packs with unique creations sold out forever? Maybe, maybe not. We would love to bring them back. Some of the unique items that the community's come up with have been so freaking cool. Oh, hey, another unique. All rings count, or that counts. And like, there are iconic items to our game that wouldn't exist, I don't think, unless we had those packs. Like, Exsanguinous was a supporter pack. It was a supporting unique. It's one of the first ones, and to this day, it is a very iconic item. And it's fantastic that we have these things. The only reason it's not open is because we just have so much of a backlog. There's so many of you that want this thing, and it's like, it's fantastic. We love working with you guys to do this. It takes a long time, and we have to catch up on the backlog of it before we can even consider opening it up to more. However, I do remember that I said that I had another picture to show if another unique dropped. That totally counts. How'd that get in there? What's that doing there? I think that was Milo. I think that was Milo. All right. What is your plans for gold sinks? So yeah, great question. We definitely need some. There's some like implication in that question that we need some. We need some gold sinks. I don't think that's a secret. At least one of the dungeons we have planned for the semi-near future, or possibly near future, like coming soonish, maybe. Who knows exactly when? Will have is planned to have a gold sink in it. It's tough to get accurate reads on gold sync feedback when like we've got people that have been playing for a long time and have quite I've actually almost said quite literally millions of gold. I'm like, oh crap, I don't. But you know what I mean? Like there are people out there with millions of gold sitting on their characters, just being like, I don't know what to do with it. So designing a system like that's got to be pretty tight in the design initially. So we're working on that still, but it is something that we're aware of, that people have this resource that they're not doing anything with for the most part. And we want to give them something to do with it, for sure. Gold sinks are important and useful, and we need them. That's right, get that berserk rolling! The stream would benefit from adding emotes to the Twitch extension, like BTT. Yeah, we definitely need some Twitch extensions, yes. Or, emotes. More emotes, yes. I agree. I'll be honest, we don't put a lot of time and resources into, improving our stream experience quality. My daily prep, or my weekly prep for this is usually, like, couple hours before the morning of. I go, anyone got something I can share on screen? That's about it. Just up the stash tab cap to 5,000. Ugh, that data hurts my brain. I wish I could alt-tab and scroll up to see the question that I missed, but I gotta leave my hand on the right mouse button. I did it. I punched him in his face hard. He was like, ow, my face. Alright, the introduction of the legendary system really highlights the lack of good uniques in specific slots, like Catalyst, for instance. Are you guys aware of the need for future uniques? Oh, yes. Oh yes, I very much agree that there was that this was highlighted. I think we tried to add some specifically for that, but sometimes it might just be that there's not enough support for the ones that we do have. Or there's not enough synergy. Sometimes it's not actually a problem with the uniques in that slot necessarily, but the uniques that are there not synergizing well enough. If that makes any sense? Gold one? No, it's not a gold. was hoping I could grab a gold one to look for you, Lizard. I see a question in chat that doesn't have the at. If you are asking me questions, don't forget to at me, and I will see the questions much better. But the question is asking about the timeline on Korean language localization. We don't have specific timelines on any type of language localization yet. We want to do it as soon as we can. I can't guarantee specifically which ones will be first in line. Some are a lot easier to do than others. On the upside, we do have the characters. All of the character set is in the game files, so there's that. Localization's a big job. It's like even just, so like everyone that works on the game speaks English in some way. So all the people that are designing the skill tree nodes, all the people that are testing the skill tree nodes, everyone speaks English at least as a second language or third language, or probably someone's fourth or fifth language. But you know what I mean? Like there's everyone can speak English there, and so they're all written in English. And even then, we still have mistakes and typos and conflicts and problems in there. So translating those into different languages, the specificness of the words that are used is really important, and that comes down to like quite often the difference between just added, increase, and more. Like those words can sometimes translate to mean the same to like two words can translate to one word, or one word can translate to two words really easily based on context. And translating every single node is a Herculean task, and especially for languages that are outside of the same base character set, base alphabet that's used, it becomes even harder. So it is something we've been preparing for a while. Our dialogue system does have built-in localizations already set up for it, so there's some good news there, but there's a lot. There's a lot. All right, we'll just head back to the end of time for a little bit here. I'll answer a couple more questions. Any plans to reduce the endgame grind for alts? It's almost not worth rerunning alts through late game because corruption takes so long to build up. This is something that we've been discussing recently, and we know it's a concern that a lot of people have, and we've got plans to address those concerns, hopefully really soon, to help make this better. I'm being real vague because they're not set in stone. Well, we've decided what we're going to do. We haven't implemented it or tested it yet. So once we've implemented it at least, and maybe tested it a little bit, we'll be a little more ready to share exactly what those plans are. But we do have plans to help with this issue. We know it's an issue. When will we get... And I also want to be clear that we are probably going to take a measured approach to it at first, where it's not just like, oh, now everything's just auto-unlocked from everyone, everything's just shared, go at it, have fun, everything's completely open. This comes back a little bit to that character journey that we were talking about before as well, with doing the campaign. And so we're not really planning on just opening the floodgates, but we may increase the amount that we do this down the road. So we're starting slow. When will we get more optimized gameplay? Soon. Do you think in the future weapons will do damage rather than just being stat sticks? No. Yes. No. The way it's set up would have to be very fundamental changes in order to make it work the way you're implying it doesn't work. And with with the distribution of stats, like flat added damage being so almost exclusive to weapons themselves, it kind of already does work that way anyways in some sense. But having it be so that only attacks with your main hand, like if you're dual wielding and you have and you attack with your main hand and it has poison chance on it, your offense chance has ignite chance on it, and so you poison with this one and ignite with this one and poison with this one and ignite with this one. That's not really something we're interested in doing right now, but it's possible down the road. I'd say very, very, very unlikely. Luckily, armor is not such an issue. Yeah. But for anyone wondering, that's armor with a U or not. Alright. Closing out the stream here, Batspaz has subbed with T1. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Got a little cute little kitty to go out on here for you. Another one. What's up with the wood planks sprinkled on the floor at the end of time? I mean, there's people were building stuff and it crumbled and collapsed. You know, it's a little bit of disrepair. There's different timelines have deposited things that have gotten stuck outside of their timelines here, and they're kind of just, you know, stuff gets left here. No one really likes to clean up, anyways. Do you think it would be possible to increase the number of target farm levels within Monolith webs to make endgame gear farming easier? Maybe. It's already pretty targetable, but it's possible. Things like that are like just number tweaks for rates of things. It's always possible for sure. What would do you have any timelines that you can share publicly on the remaining 3 classes by chance? No. Sorry. Love to. Would love to. Okay, here's what I can tell you. It will not be coming in next patch. None of the 3 of them will be in next patch. I can tell you that for sure. Unless something dramatic changes. Alright. Well, thanks for coming out, everybody. I had fun. I hope you did too.